Good evening, YouTube friends. Well, you want to do it, but are you up for the challenge? It's going to take some hard work. My name's Jim. Thanks for visiting my channel, Off-Grid Living with the Bennetts. This video is about a guide for living off-grid. I'm going to present you with 9 points to consider for off-grid living. I've got a few notes, so I will be sort of glancing at my notes while we're talking. But what is off-grid living? Off-grid living is getting away from the infrastructure, the hydro grid, water lines, sewers, and becoming self-sufficient. Maybe getting rid of cell phones and internet. I don't do that, but that could be another aspect. Getting out of the city and growing your own food. You may want to still go to town, but you may not. You may want to figure out ways to grow your own food and look for your own ways to survive. So basically, you're 100% off-grid from the power system. What about water? Yeah, you're going to be harvesting rainwater, or you're going to have yourself a well, or you're going to get water out of your lake or out of your stream. You're going to purify it and get rid of the bacteria. What about your waste? Well, you're going to have a privy, as they call it, outside, or you're going to have a composting toilet. You have to figure out ways to maintain the temperature within your home. You'll be heating maybe with wood. Whatever it takes to be self-sufficient is basically what you want to do. So 9 steps to going off grid. First thing you want to do is you want to educate yourself. You want to find out, is it possible to go off grid? Is it something that you can do? You're going to research. You're going to find out, basically, is it something that you're up for the challenge? You have to choose a location. The more north you go, the more severe weather you have. You have to deal with heavy rains. You have to deal with storms. You have to deal with snow is a big one. So location is important. Are you way back in the bush? If you are, how are you going to get to your property in the winter? Are you going to use a snowmobile? You don't want to walk. It's a long ways to walk. So, are you legally allowed to live off-grid? Certainly you are. Many, many people are doing it. Can you just find an old abandoned barn and put up some solar panels and turn it into a home? No. You can't do that. Can you go back in the bush and just squat on some land and start building. No, you can't do that neither. If you were to try to do that, then when they find you, they'll tell you that you can't do that. Many people have done it. Many people are in the bush. Many people are totally off grid. They're so far back in the bush that no one will ever find them. But if they do find them, then of course they would be out. They can't do that. Let's talk about finances. You're going to have to buy yourself a piece of land, and you're going to have to build a home, a homestead. So what's that land going to cost you, and what's it going to cost you to build the house? You don't want to have this big dream and a big idea, and all of a sudden now you're strapped for money, and you're financing stuff, and you're using your credit cards, and you're doing all your things to try to make it work. You need to plan ahead. Sometimes, like for myself, I'll be totally off grid by in 2 or 3 months. But it took me 4 years to get here. I just went out yesterday and bought my appliances. I've been using a cooler for a refrigerator for the last 3 years. Now I've got my solar panels all up and running, so now I've ordered myself a fridge. I'm putting in propane lines, and I've ordered myself a stove. It's going to be a propane stove, electric fridge off solar panels. So financially, you have to get yourself set up. What I did was I bought my land, and then I started building. And if I didn't have the money, then I just didn't do anything. So, I put my building up, I plumbed it, I wired it, I insulated it, and then I did an addition on it. Then I did another addition on it. We did flooring, we did all this stuff. I mean, if you only have enough money to buy a couple of cans of paint this week, then just buy a couple of cans of paint. Don't strap yourself financially. I use my credit card to buy stuff, and then I pay it back off again, like right away. It's just convenient to use a credit card, so I do that. But, I've got my off-grid home. I have no mortgage on it. I have no loans on it. I don't have any debt on it at all. So I planned ahead. And that's what you need to also do, is you need to plan ahead. You need to train yourself for what's ahead. For entering into the off-grid environment, you need to train yourself. Basically, what we did was, our original intention was to have an off-grid property that we would go to in the summer for a couple of months. Maybe for a weekend here or for a week there. But getting close to retirement, we thought it would just be somewhere just to go, just to have some nice leisure time and relax. So for 4 years, I've been coming up here, like, quite a bit, actually, because I've had so many renovations I've had to do. I've been up here all the time. And my wife said to me, she says, I would never move there. I don't want black flies. I don't want to deal with all the snow. I don't want to lose all my friends. I've got all my family. I would never move there. But the more I came up, and the more I sent her pictures, and the more I showed her what we were doing and showed her how it was going, the more interested she got in it. And last week was actually the first time she's been to our property. And I've had it for 4 years. 4 years? 4 years. Yeah, I've had it for 4 years. Last week was the first time she came. And we've got a new addition being built, so she was drawing plans up, and we're figuring out where the wall plugs are going and what we're doing and all this sort of stuff. And so now, I believe that I'm going back home for a couple of days. Then she's going to come back up with me again. So that would be the second time in 3 weeks. So basically what I'm saying is, when I say train yourself to see if you like it. Because if you don't like it and you can't handle the cold and you can't handle the bugs and you can't handle the isolation, then it's not for you. So that's what you need to do. Another thing you need to do is you need to prepare an emergency plan. When you get to your off-grid property, you're going to have how much snow? I don't know. A couple of centimeters, a couple inches, foot, 2 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet. How much snow are you going to have? You don't know that. Every winter is different. You have to be prepared for that. Have yourself a decent way to take care of the snow situation. Whether it's an ATV, whether it's a plow, whether it's a truck, whether it's a tractor, whatever it is. Whether it's a neighbor down the road with a payload or whatever it takes, but you need to plan that ahead of time. You need to plan ahead for medical emergencies. Like, I know a lot of times I'm running around the house, like, where are the Band-Aids? I don't know. We're running around the house trying to find a Band-Aid. Next thing you know, you're wrapping your hand up with a rag because you can't find the Band-Aids. Well, if you get in the middle of nowhere and you're by yourself, a Band-Aid is the least of your problems. You need to have a way to protect yourself, and you need to have a way to get to that hospital if you need to have a hospital. Find out where it is and be ready for that. So, yeah, weather's a big issue. Even a good set of jumper cables. Good set of jumper cables. What about a generator? You want to make sure that you've got a generator that you can start when you turn it on, it's going to start. You don't want to be sitting there pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, trying to get that thing going. I've got a brand new generator. I've got solar panels. I've got batteries. I got spare batteries. I've got lots of fuel for my generator. Like, if a storm comes, I want to be prepared. If your firewood is in a shed that's 400 feet from your house and there's a storm coming, that's not going to work for you, because you might be stuck in that house. You might be into a blizzard. You don't know that. So my firewood is like 20 feet from the house in a shelter. And I have probably about 4 wheelbarrows loads in the house in a bin. So that 4 wheelbarrow loads of firewood that's in the bin, that would do me for 2 or 3 days probably. But if there was a really bad storm coming, I'd have more in the house. I'd plan ahead for that. So you want to do that. You want to have patience. Like, I was very patient with this place here because I would have loved to get up here a year ago or 2 years ago, but the timing wasn't right. You have to deal with work, you have to deal with family, you have to deal with lots of things. So the timing just wasn't right for me. But now I'm getting older, and even if I wanted to work, I've got a few good leads, so I could go out and work if I wanted to for a couple days a week, if I wanted to. So you have to have patience, and it's not going to just happen overnight. Your heat source. Okay, you've got a wood stove. How big is your wood stove? How big is your off-grid home? These are things that you need to take into consideration as well. If you've got a wood stove that'll heat 300 square feet, and your off-grid home is 700 square feet, then what it means is you're going to be fighting to keep that place warm. Or if your wood stove is made for 1,000 square feet, and you've got a 300 square foot off-grid home, then you're going to be cooking yourself right out. So you need to research wood stoves. Our plan for heating our off-grid home, I've got a wood stove. Okay, my home now, because I built additions on it, is actually spread out quite a bit. So it's hard for me to actually heat it with the wood stove unless I had more wood stoves somewhere else. So what my plan is I'm going to have the wood stove that'll heat 700 square feet. I've ordered a propane heater, a direct vent propane heater that I'm going to install next week. I'm going to put that in a totally different part of the house, and that'll heat up to 500 square feet. And then next year, I can't remember what they're called, but it's an air conditioning unit as well as a heating unit. I'm going to install that next year, and what that is that is running off of my solar panels. I'm doubling my solar bank, I'm doubling my battery bank, and so next year I'm going to put that in. So basically I'll have an electric heater, I'll have propane heat, and I'll have wood heat. So regardless of what goes wrong, I won't be cold. So you need to research what you're doing for heat and how much you need to heat your space. You need to plan ahead for your water lines for freezing in the winter. When I was building, I put all my water lines, all my taps, everything on interior walls and nothing under the house because I don't want anything to freeze. I don't want to deal with that. Now, as it turns out, in our addition, we're going to have a kitchen, and I am going to have a water line that's going to go under the house. It's only going to be about 6 feet long. So what my plan is, I'm going to have a PEX line. What my plan is that I'm going to put heat tracing on it. I'm going to wrap it with that foam stuff, and then I'm going to wrap it again with fiberglass insulation. And it's only going to be going to my kitchen sink, but like I say, it's going to have to go under the house for like 6 feet. And I'm thinking if I do all of that, that should be good enough to protect it. So, yeah, you need to take all of these things into consideration. Now, in conclusion, what I would say is that find yourself a community of off-grid living people. That's on Facebook or wherever. Find yourself a community of people that are living the off-grid lifestyle and connect with them. Ask them questions, find out how they're doing it, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, what's happened, what hasn't happened, what can they give you advice on, all that sort of stuff. And my very last comment would be subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to have lots more tips, tricks, and strategies. And my goal is to not only live off-grid myself, but to help others with strategies that I've learned, either by doing it right or by doing it wrong. So feel free to comment, hit that subscribe button, and have yourself a wonderful day. We'll talk to you on the next video.